everybody, this is Bruce here. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Traveling with Bruce. Please subscribe to my channel today and become a key supporter of Traveling with Bruce by clicking the Patreon link. Enjoy the video. Hey everybody, how you doing? It's Bruce here with Traveling with Bruce. Today I have a story for you. It's about cruising and it's all about the food. Let's cut right to the chase. It's not about the life jacket. It's not about the lifeboats. It's not about the pool. It's about the food. Cruising really is about the food. And just give you a little background. I mean, in 1962, I crossed the Atlantic from Europe to Canada. And I was on a transatlantic voyage on a ship known as the Homeric. And we went from Europe over to Montreal, Quebec. And I think I was about 6 years old, and I remember the food. So I'm 62 now, and I remember the food on this ship. In those days, the deal was that breakfast would be served at your appointed time. So if you were in whatever deck number you were on, decks 5, 6, 7, whatever it was, you were assigned an eating time, a time to come to the main dining room for food. And I remember my parents, they would make sure that we were up. I was with my sister and my mom and dad, and oh man, it was military precision. Let me tell you, we woke up at whatever it was, 8 o'clock, and by 9 o'clock, we were headed for the reception area to enter the dining room, and then the maitre d' would take us in, or one of the captains, and we would be seated in our usual table, and we would have our waiter, the same guy for the whole week, and then we would see the same staff, the busboys, in the same section of the restaurant. And it was delicious. I mean, the menu would come out, and you could order from several pieces, several items. And as a kid, oh man, spoiled rotten. These staff members just took good care of you. My parents loved it too. Lunchtime, I don't remember a formal sitting for lunch. I have a feeling that lunch was a little more informal. It may have been somewhat, I don't know if it was buffet-like, but for some reason, like a sandwich and a drink was the norm. And I don't even know if it was in the restaurant. It doesn't ring a bell with me. I guess I've lost that. I guess it wasn't that good. But dinner, I remember dinner. I can still remember the bells going off in the hallways of like a ding ding dong. That would be the sound you're listening for to say another dinner seating was ready. And there were clocks stationed in the hallways. So when the ding ding dong sound went off, you could look at the clock right beside the wall there, and you could see, oh, it's 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, whatever the time was, and that your appointed seating time. And it was you had about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes or something like that for dinner, because they had to feed the entire ship, and I believe the Homeric could house 1,100 passengers in those days, and I think they had 2 seatings, so it was 500 to 600 people per seating was what the main dining room could handle. And of course the staff that worked there, they had to clean the restaurant between seatings. I mean, the floors were quickly swept up in case there was any droppings, breadcrumbs or anything like that. The tables, of course, were spotless, new linens, new dishes, everything. You can imagine the kitchen staff downstairs, they were just hauling to get all the dishes washed from the first batch to the second batch, because there's only so many dishes you're going to have on a ship. You're not going to have 3,000 place settings for 1,100 passengers. No way. So while the first passengers are having their dessert and coffee and filtering out, the staff downstairs is cranking the dishwashing machines, and the staff down there, they're just hauling. And of course in the linen department, they've got linens ready to go on wagons and coming up the service elevator. So the minute the room was emptying out, tables were already being changed over for the next shift, and then the evening batch of diners would come in. And every night, my dad would have a suit on every night. My mom would have a beautiful dress on. I had to dress up to go to dinner in the cruise ship every night. There was no schlepping around in the main dining room. And you could, meet the captain. It could be very likely that the captain might pop by, and so you had to be presentable for that. I mean, after all, God forbid you didn't look good. So I remember those days, and the food was fantastic. The dinners were wonderful. The waiters and the maitre d's and the busboys, they were just great. We would get our photos taken by the ship photography people. They'd come by the table and they'd have a photo taken of us, and of course our waiter would be standing right beside us. I mean, that was absolutely necessary. No such thing as a photo of a family of four on a cruise ship dinner table. The waiter was there too. And for years, I remember my parents, whenever relatives would come by, the old photo albums would come out, and we would reminisce about the old days, and I'd hear my mom and dad talking about the old days, and then the subject of the crossing would come up, the Atlantic crossing. This wasn't an annual thing. This was a one-timer. And my father, by the way, was in the Canadian Army, had been stationed in Germany. We went over on a ship, and we came back on a ship. But I'll tell you, these photos would come out, and they would show off the photo of the ship. They would show off the photo of the dinner table where we're sitting with our waiter, and there'd be stories. And the stories were the food, man. It was just fantastic. So I wanted to talk today about food on a cruise ship today, 2017, 2018. Here we are. And the cruise ship companies have always known that passengers need to be fed and need to be fed well. And if you've got well-fed passengers, your complaints drop dramatically. If you have not well-fed passengers, oh, are you going to get it? And they passengers talk to each other after a cruise and tell their friends how great or how bad the food was on a cruise. And I tell you, cruise lines just cannot afford to have bad reviews for the food. And so we today are the recipients of decades of technology and improvements in the food department, so that we can now go on cruises and really, really feast like our parents and me as a 7-year-old could never have dreamed possible how we could feast now. So for those of you who've never cruised before, and this video is sort of aimed at you, for the newbies out there, you're thinking of going to cruise, you've never done it before, let me tell you, you're going to, I'm convinced you're going to enjoy it if you go. Of course, weather depending and that type of thing, but the one thing you're probably not going to really complain about will be the food. You'll probably be overwhelmed with the choices, because today, on a modern cruise ship, yes, there are still the main dining rooms for the most part. I know that if you're on Holland America, or you go on a Norwegian cruise or Princess cruise, they still have large dining rooms. In some cases, these Royal Caribbean ships that are coming out now, they have like 3- and 4-story tall atrium-style dining rooms where you're sitting on the 3rd level, and then you can look down and you can see 2 levels below. You can look up and across the room. I'll post pictures in this video about that. It's a stunning visual sight to see, but the logistics behind it, how do you have waiters and bus boys, bus girls to handle the logistics of getting food and clean dishes, dirty dishes, linens, and everything up and down these levels? Behind the scenes work is stunning. The logistics are something else. These service elevators are hidden from view from us. We don't see it. How they do it, it's amazing. Getting a medium rare steak and a baked potato to your table, and it's still warm when it gets there, where it came from logistically, from the kitchens, my God, quite amazing how it's all done. Anyway, so the dining rooms still exist, and you can still make dining times. If you're an eater, you need to eat at 5 o'clock every day, no matter what, or 6 or 7 or whatever your time is. You can still reserve your table at these restaurants on your entire cruise and enjoy. Absolutely. And you'll get a menu every day. The menu is generally, they're about maybe 20, 22, 24, 25 items, and maybe 15 of them are the standard fare every day. Same thing. You can have the same choices, but then they'll add sort of chef's creations, and they'll have anywhere from 4 to 6 to 8 chef's creations for this day only on the menu, and you definitely want to read them over and see what's going on. So that's pretty cool. But if you're a meatloaf lover and you want to venture to maybe a steak, and you might have you might have some mashed potatoes and gravy or fries. and a Caesar salad and very basic menu, good on you, and it'll be great every time. You won't be disappointed. But if you're an adventurer and you like a lobster tail, or you're interested in something a little more exotic, you like some seafood, or you want to go for foods that you don't normally eat, or favorite restaurant food that you have when you're at home, you won't be disappointed on the cruise ship. Now, to be a little more specific, however, if you are really into a porterhouse steak, or you want some ribs, or you want a filet mignon, and you want some lobster tails and some scampi or crab or prawns, you're probably going to have to end up going to the steakhouse. And here's the good news: these cruise ships today have multitudes of specialty restaurants on board to aim at everyone's palate. And so, if you're into sushi, I got good news for you. There's sushi on board most of these cruise ships now. If you're into seafood, you're into Asian food, Italian, you want a pizza, and I'm not talking about a frozen kind of pizza you buy at the grocery store that they slap together for you. I'm talking about freshly made, on board pizza while you're waiting, 25, 35 minutes. Here comes this pizza right out of the oven, and it was handmade from scratch on board. And it'll taste that way. It's fantastic. You're going to be happy. But there's also the buffet. And so we're talking the gamut here. So quickly, to run through, as quickly as I can anyway, run through a typical day for me. When it's breakfast time, I don't know what time I'm going to wake up in the morning. Some mornings I wake up at 6 a.m. Sometimes I wake up at 8 o'clock. It depends on the cruise. It depends on how much I did last night, how I'm feeling. Doesn't matter. I always head to the buffet for breakfast anyway. I love the fact that I can walk in there and there's like 100-foot long counter with food, and I know I'm going to find something to eat. And I find that I love eating muesli in the morning when I'm on a cruise ship. I don't eat muesli at home. I don't go to a restaurant in my hometown and buy muesli. I only eat muesli on a cruise ship. I don't know why. It's just so delicious. And I'll add fruit to it. If they offer me a little bowl beside the muesli and it's too small a bowl, that's okay. I walk around the buffet until I find a larger bowl, and I come back to the muesli with a larger empty bowl, and I put the muesli in that. It's my cruise. I'm in charge. And they don't care. But I eat it all. Sometimes I'll grab 2 small bowls of muesli if I can't find a larger bowl, and I'll satisfy myself. It's fine. You can go back as many times as you want. It doesn't matter. Just eat what you take is the motto, really. But if I want to have an omelet with toast and just a coffee, and I want some, maybe some slices of peaches on the side or pears, I can put this together. But if I'm just an oatmeal guy, or I'm a bacon and eggs guy, you'll find that too. I'll tell you, for men and women, we all have our personal tastes for breakfast, and we eat breakfast in a certain way when we're at home, and sometimes we eat breakfast in a different way when we're not at home. And the beauty of the buffet is you can probably satisfy both needs. So breakfast at the buffet is the way to go, I find. Grab the hit for the coffee machine and fill your first cup yourself, or sit down and enjoy at the table with your food, and the wait staff will come by and they'll ask you, would you like a coffee? They'll get you one, and you don't have to even get up and do that. Same thing with apple juice or orange juice or whatever. Now, in some cases, certain beverages you have to pay extra for. Bring your room card with you, and you do that. I have noticed some cruisers, quite organized. They first head to the cappuccino coffee bar. It's like they're onboard Starbucks. They'll head there first, and they'll buy themselves their latte or their cappuccino or their Americano, whatever they like, in whatever size they want, and they'll bring that with them to the buffet. So now you got your really nice coffee from downstairs. You're in the buffet, you grab a plate or something of whatever you want to eat, and they're enjoying their breakfast the way they want. Again, you're building your cruise the way you want, and with food now. This is the wonderful thing about it. If, however, you don't feel so well, and you're not so hot this morning, or whatever, you're tired, or you're not feeling too well, or you're just lazy, you want to have breakfast in your room, order room service. They'll bring you breakfast. There's a menu in your room that you can order off of, and they will bring food to your breakfast. Now, most cruises offer room service at no extra charge. Some have a nominal charge included in room service. It's evolving. And there's a limited number of choices for what you can order for room service. But nonetheless, bacon and eggs and toast and jam and peanut butter and cereal for the kids. They'll bring you food to your room. And if you're on a balcony suite, you can have it on your balcony if you want, or you can eat inside your room. They'll set a table up for you when they deliver it. So there's always that. Okay, so that's breakfast. Now let's talk about an hour and a half after breakfast, because after all, people have to eat all the time. It's called grazing. So once you're out and about, you'll find that if you're on the deck in the pool area, some of the pool areas have they have like a little grill going non-stop. And as the morning turns into lunchtime and in the afternoon all day long, they've got the hot dogs going, they've got the burgers going, they've got bratwursts going, they've got knockwursts going, they've got the pizza going in the pizza oven outside. And the staff is just there cranking it out, and all you got to do is just come up and get in line, and they'll what would you like? And fries and a hot dog, or fries and a cheeseburger. Hold the onions. They'll make it any way you want, and prepared for you right on the spot. You carry it to your lounger over there, or sit at a table outside, looking out over the ocean. 12 stories above the water, 14 stories above the water, and you're having a burger and a hot dog, around 11 in the morning or 12 in the morning, whatever time it is. Whenever you're hungry, there's no set time. But if you're really, looking for a meal, you can head over to the buffet, and they got the lunch menu going. There's the fried chicken, and there's the Italian dishes, and there's German dishes, and you name it. Or you can head for one of the specialty restaurants. You'll pay extra for a specialty restaurant, anywhere from about, I'm going to say, $10 per passenger per meal and up. And it used to be that up until about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe $25 was sort of the top extra charge. But lately I've noticed that some of these celebrity type chef sort of specialty restaurants are starting to appear. Cruise lines are always figuring out ways to make more money. And they're asking for $40, $50, $60 a person, but you're now into some serious eating. And you may or may not want to do that for lunchtime. For lunch, you may not want to go into the specialty restaurant and have a steak. The buffet might be just fine. Or the main dining room, which, by the way, you can also have for breakfast. I didn't mention that earlier. You can go to the main dining room for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and order off the menu and be served and not get off your chair the entire time. Just enjoy, and they bring it all to you. Then during the afternoon, there's the ice cream bar. Most cruise ships have a soft ice cream dispenser. Sometimes they let you play with it. Other times they have staff operating it behind a counter, and you just line up and tell them you want an ice cream cone, or you want this treat or that treat. If you want a little dessert during the day, head for the cappuccino bar again, that Starbucks bar. Usually right beside it, there's a dessert counter. And in most cases, the desserts beside the coffee bar, they're free. So you might see some nice... nice mousse, a chocolate mousse, or you'll see a nice cheesecake there. It's all made on board by the pastry chefs, and you can have a slice of this, no charge, enjoy. You want the coffee, you pay extra for it. If you don't, just enjoy. So that's a nice little break. And then it's dinner time. Okay, let's talk dinner time. It's 5 o'clock, 5:30, 6:37, and you want to have dinner. Again, you've got all the specialty restaurants you can go to. You can go to the main dining room, you can go to the buffet, and this is where the specialty restaurants really shine. Now, some of the cruise ship lines, like I believe it's Royal Caribbean, they have a Johnny Rockets on most of their cruise ships, and that's, burger, fries, and a shake. And it's a straight charge. It might be $5 or $10 a person, straight charge. Eat all you want, and they'll give you the Johnny Rockets experience. Great if you got kids. But otherwise, head for the buffet and check it out. And you walk through the buffet first before you commit to doing anything. And that's what I always do. I go from one end of the buffet to the other end of the buffet, and I double check both sides of the ship on the buffet, because the buffets the food is in the middle, the tables are on the outside, and especially near the back of the ship, they'll have it all going around the end. I walk both sides of the buffet because sometimes there are items on the one side of the buffet that aren't available on the other side of the buffet, and God forbid you miss, what you really want to have. So I'll do that. If I don't find anything in the buffet that really turns me on, then I might decide to go to the main dining room and eat there. I'll check the menu. During the day, I'll have walked by the main dining room's lobby area where the menu for the evening is posted, and I'll see what tonight's chef's creations are. And I might find that, oh man, he or she has got prawns with, in a special sauce, or there might be, something Italian special, or whatever the dish is. And I'm looking at my wife, my wife's looking at me, we're going, yeah, we're going to the dining room tonight, and we'll eat that. Now, if you don't have a special time, let's say you don't have a 5:30 eating time reserved, you're an anytime diner, which more and more cruise ships allow, by the way, now, because of all the specialty restaurants. Your 3,000 passengers, your 4,000 passengers are all over the place every day. You can still show up in the main dining room unannounced, without a reservation. Go up to the captain or the maitre d' there and ask for a table for two. And they may ask you a question that might be, well, would you mind sharing a table with another party? If you say, no, I just want a table for two, we don't want to share with anybody, you want to be on our own, not a problem. They might have to take your name down and ask you to wait 15, 20 minutes. That's fair enough. On the other hand, if you're willing to share a table, you might end up at a table with 10 people. And it's a big round table, and, there's 4 seats that are open, 6 seats are occupied. Now there's 8 seats occupied. And I find that I enjoy that from time to time, because you're meeting people you'll never meet anywhere else. And everybody has a story, and the story is, how did you end up on this cruise ship? Where are you from? And have you cruised before? And and then it just goes on and on. What are you doing? What did you do today? What do you like about this cruise? And then some folks have some really interesting stories and tips for you on the cruise. So keep an open mind about that. I've heard where people will come the first night. We will be sat down at a table of 8 or 10 people, and they have so much fun at that table that they make a pact that every night at 7 o'clock we're going to meet here. And next thing you know, you've got pals. And you might share shore excursions with them together. There might be like 4 of you or 6 of you that just get along famously. And next thing you know, you're exchanging emails and you've got lifelong friends. This has happened to friends of mine. You just never know. Other times, though, you can be sat at a table of 2 others, 4 others, 6 others, and nobody gets along with anybody. And there's people there that you wouldn't be caught dead with. And so, you have one meal with them, and you say your good nights and goodbyes, and the next day you come to the restaurant, you ask to sit at a table for just 2, or you go for a different time and you sit at a table of 6 or 8 at a different time, and you meet other people. You never know how it goes. Anyway, food on a cruise ship, never ending. The best thing about the cruise, it's a thing everybody asks about when you're done with the cruise. Your relatives want to know, your friends want to know. How was it? Your coworkers? What was the food like? And it's something you can talk to with anyone of any age about, and you all got something in common, because for some reason we're all addicted to it. We have to eat almost every day. And cruise ship food is a great experience, and you will find what it is you will enjoy. You're on a floating resort, and it's a 5-star resort in most cases, and you should be just fine. All the bread on board is baked on board. All the pastries are made on board. The statistics on how many eggs they go through and how many pounds of sugar and butter and everything, it's all posted. It's available for you. You can find that out on the cruise, by the way. It's staggering. The staff downstairs in those kitchens, hundreds and hundreds of these people, they're working tirelessly, out of sight. You almost don't think about it. And it's amazing how they crank this stuff out. Been doing it for, 100 years now, I guess, since the early 1900s. But like I said, I still remember the food from 1962 crossing the Atlantic. So, cruising is all about eating, and you'll enjoy it. So if you ever get to go on a cruise, enjoy it. You'll have a great time. And like I say, it makes for great memories. Thanks for watching this unbelievably long video of mine talking about food on a cruise ship. It's Bruce with Traveling with Bruce. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you like the way I do these videos, or you like my stories, subscribe to my channel and you'll be notified every time a new video is coming up. And then you can catch my next story if you've got the time. And if you would like to support my channel on Patreon, be my guest. Pop on over to my Patreon page and make a donation. Anyway, thanks again for joining me, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.